Lost Garden Secrets. 7 Medieval Outdoor Designs America Abandoned that will shock you today. Have you ever wondered why some old garden designs worked so well that modern gardeners still copy them, yet most of these techniques were lost to history? In medieval Europe, gardens weren't just decorative, they were essential outdoor spaces for growing herbs, fruits, vegetables, and even shaping climate in small plots. In this video, you'll uncover 7 incredible medieval outdoor garden designs that were once widely used, even in early America, but have been forgotten, abandoned, and neglected. Until now, let's dive in. One. Walled herb gardens, medieval enclosed planting secrets for herbs and edibles. In the Middle Ages, walled herb gardens were essential outdoor planting spaces where herbs and food plants were grown for everyday use in households, monasteries, and manor homes. Medieval gardens were often enclosed by wattle fences, quickthorn hedges, or stone walls to protect valuable herbs like sage, thyme, and rosemary from pests, wind, and cold weather, a design approach called hortus conclusus that kept plants safe and encouraged better plant growth. These enclosed herb gardens combined functional planting and aesthetic garden design, helping gardeners manage soil conditions and microclimates more effectively. Inside these walls, pathways and raised planting beds made it easier to cultivate medicinal herbs, culinary greens, and fragrant flowers that served both food and healing purposes. Though many historic walled gardens were later abandoned in favor of open lawns, their core idea lives on in modern organic herb garden ideas, edible landscaping tips, and microclimate planting strategies that boost plant health and productivity. Medieval herb gardens weren't just for looks. They reflected how people once relied on plants for medicine, cooking, and scent, blending heritage garden design with everyday functionality. Enclosure helped reduce threats to plants and organize the plot for easy access and seasonal care, watering, and harvesting. Today, gardeners can adapt this ancient strategy to create protected herb beds and raised plant zones that improve soil warmth and reduce frost damage. By placing heat-loving herbs toward the center of a walled or trellised enclosure, you mimic how medieval growers optimized plant placement and garden microclimates long before modern tools existed. This is a timeless planting strategy that works beautifully for small outdoor herb gardens and kitchen garden layouts in both urban and rural yards. Two. Raised geometric beds, ancient planting layouts that improve soil and growth. Another medieval garden secret that still matters today is the use of raised and geometric planting beds, a method where soil is built up above ground level in clearly defined square or rectangular shapes to improve drainage and root health. Medieval gardeners used these beds to prevent waterlogging, warm the soil earlier in spring, and promote stronger seedling growth, helping herbs and vegetables flourish in unpredictable outdoor conditions. Raised beds also made it easier to organize plants in orderly patterns, creating clear planting zones, walkways, and efficient access paths for planting, watering, and harvesting. These structured beds were common in medieval monastery gardens and manor plant plots, where food and medicinal herbs were grown side by side. From a practical gardening perspective, raised beds work because they help increase root aeration, improve soil structure, and reduce compaction, concepts medieval gardeners understood intuitively long before modern horticulture science. By keeping soil loose and well-drained, plants develop stronger roots and resist disease more effectively, which is why modern raised bed gardening ideas are recommended for almost every backyard edible garden today. The geometric layout also supports crop rotation and soil amendment planning, giving gardeners the ability to manage nutrients and minimize pests across distinct planting areas. Although many original medieval raised bed gardens no longer survive, their design logic lives on in contemporary plant care strategies. Gardeners aiming to grow more productive vegetables, culinary herbs, and ornamental plants can benefit from this ancient bed structure, using it to maximize space, improve plant growth, and enhance garden organization. Three, trellis walkways and arbors, vertical growing tactics from medieval gardens. Vertical growing wasn't just a modern idea. Medieval gardens frequently featured trellis walkways and arbors as vital garden structures to support climbing. Plants like grapes, beans, roses, and vines that produced both food and beauty. These living corridors provided shade, improved air circulation around plant leaves, and used vertical space to grow more in small garden areas, a practical planting tactic in times when farmland was valuable and space was limited. Trellises and arbors also guided vines along structured paths, creating shaded outdoor rooms and attractive walkways that blended aesthetic design with functional productivity in every garden. This vertical planting method helped keep fruit and vines off the ground, reducing rot and pest issues while making harvesting easier, an idea echoed in modern vertical gardening tips for small yards, pergola plant support ideas, and climbing plant care techniques. Medieval garden plans often integrated these structures around enclosed beds or alongside pathways to create multi-purpose, growing zones that were both productive and beautiful. Harnessing vertical space allowed gardeners to cultivate more edible and ornamental plants without taking up extra ground area. For today's plant enthusiasts, using trellises, pergolas, and arbors offers a way to grow vines vertically, enhance garden aesthetics, and improve plant health through better airflow and sun exposure. Whether training grapes for fruit production or roses for fragrance and shade, this age-old technique resonates in modern outdoor gardening. By incorporating trellis walkways into your garden design, you revive a medieval planting method that enhances both productivity and visual appeal in your outdoor space. Four, orchard gardens, fruits, bees, and seasonal surprises from medieval times. Medieval gardens weren't just about herbs and vegetables. Many had orchard gardens planted with fruit trees such as apples, pears, and cherries, combining productive planting with aesthetic outdoor design long before modern orcharding became popular. Orchard plots provided a reliable source of fresh fruit for eating, storage, and making cider or preserves, and were often planted near kitchen gardens or along garden edges to make harvesting easier. These trees also attracted pollinators like bees, helping increase the yield of nearby herbs and vegetables, a principle modern gardeners rely on today to boost crop productivity and encourage beneficial insects. Medieval orchard gardens were usually arranged in orderly rows or small groves, sometimes surrounded by protective hedges to keep out animals and manage space efficiently. These orchard techniques show how medieval growers balanced fruit production and plant ecology, lessons today's home gardeners can adapt for small space fruit gardening and heritage garden design. Historically, orchard gardens were seen as essential outdoor spaces, blending beauty and utility in equal measure, and often planted with companion flowers like violets or lavender to help deter pests and encourage pollination. The presence of fruit trees created microclimates that shaded understory plants, improved soil health through leaf mulch, and added seasonal rhythm to garden cycles, early examples of what modern horticulturists call permaculture gardening principles. Though many medieval orchards were lost or abandoned when lawns and ornamental borders became fashionable, the logic of planting a productive orchard persists in today's backyard fruit tree care tips, edible landscaping ideas, and pollinator-friendly planting strategies. Integrating an orchard into your outdoor garden can mimic medieval wisdom while delivering real fruit yields, seasonal beauty, and ecosystem balance. Five, water features and fish pond systems, forgotten medieval garden aquatic design. Medieval gardens didn't rely solely on soil and plants. Many included water features and fish pond systems that served both practical and aesthetic purposes, long before modern garden water ideas took hold. Fish ponds were carefully engineered to provide a steady supply of freshwater fish, essential protein on days when meat was banned for religious reasons, and were connected to garden kitchens through channels that allowed gardeners to manage water levels and quality. These water systems helped regulate the garden's microclimate, adding humidity that benefited nearby herbs and vegetables, and creating tranquil, reflective surfaces that enhanced garden ambiance and biodiversity. Some medieval monasteries also used elaborate water channels and small ponds to irrigate beds directly, showing early water-wise garden irrigation techniques that echo in today's sustainable gardening practices. In addition to fish ponds, medieval gardens often featured pools, channels, and simple fountains, early water elements that helped slow water runoff, support aquatic plants, and attract wildlife like frogs and dragonflies that naturally controlled pests. These water features were not merely ornamental, but integrated into the garden's daily functioning for both food production and ecosystem balance. Though many medieval ponds and channels have vanished over time as landscapes changed, their hydrological logic lives on in modern garden water design tips that stress the value of micro-ecosystems, rain garden concepts, and sustainable irrigation. Reintroducing a small raised pond or rainwater basin in your outdoor garden can increase biodiversity and help your plants thrive in dry spells. For gardeners seeking historical garden inspiration with practical results, medieval water systems offer ideas that combine utility and beauty, from fish ponds to irrigation channels that help nourish plants and enrich your outdoor space. 6. Pleasure gardens and flower meadows, ancient color and herb planting for relaxation. Not every medieval garden was practical. Some were designed purely for enjoyment and beauty, known as pleasure gardens where people walked, meditated, and enjoyed the scent and sight of flowers in a peaceful outdoor setting. These gardens often included lawn-like meadows planted with wildflowers and low blooms, mixing herbs, blossoms, and grasses to create a tapestry of color, texture, and fragrance that delighted the senses. Unlike the structured beds used for food and medicine, pleasure gardens focused on ornamental plantings, floral accents, and shaded resting spots, demonstrating that medieval gardeners appreciated beauty and emotional connection in outdoor spaces as much as productivity. Modern gardeners looking for flower garden ideas, meadow planting tips, and sensory garden designs can take inspiration from these historical pleasure gardens, blending functional planting with spaces meant for peace and reflection. The concept of a pleasure garden also included shaded lawns, sitting areas, and winding paths lined with blooms, an early form of what today's landscape designers call a garden room, where visitors step into a distinct outdoor space with its own character and atmosphere. This medieval design approach encouraged planting with color contrast, seasonal blooms, and texture layering to make every corner of your garden feel inviting. While many ornamental medieval gardens were abandoned over time as tastes shifted toward open lawns and formal borders, the idea of blending functional planting with spaces for relaxation is resurging in modern outdoor design trends. By incorporating flowering meadows and scented plant zones into your yard, you reconnect with centuries-old practices that celebrated the joy of slow garden living. 7. Dovecotes and wildlife support. Clever medieval eco-garden strategy. Medieval gardens were ecosystems, not just plant plots. Many included dovecotes, structures for keeping pigeons and doves that played a surprising role in overall garden productivity and soil fertility. These raised towers or small shelters housed birds whose droppings were collected and used as natural fertilizer, enriching garden beds long before chemical inputs were known, making it an early form of organic garden fertilization technique. The birds themselves also provided meat and feathers, and dovecotes were often built near garden edges or within orchards to maximize their usefulness. This clever integration of wildlife and plant care reveals how medieval gardeners managed diverse elements to support plant growth, lessons that resonate with today's wildlife-friendly gardening practices. Beyond dovecotes, medieval outdoor gardens were designed to support beneficial wildlife like bees, butterflies, and other pollinators that helped fruit trees and vegetables thrive. Garden layouts included flowering borders near herb beds, hedgerows for shelter, and water features that attracted amphibians, all contributing to a balanced ecosystem where plants and wildlife benefited one another. Though many medieval gardens and their wildlife structures were lost over time as landscapes changed, the principle of designing gardens that invite and support biodiversity has returned as a major focus in modern horticulture. Creating birdhouses, pollinator gardens, and insect-friendly planting zones mirrors the medieval garden ethos of harmonious garden ecosystems. For outdoor gardeners who want ecological garden tips, biodiversity planting ideas, and sustainable outdoor design, the medieval use of dovecotes and wildlife integration offers a historic model of working with nature, not against it, a timeless approach that helps gardens flourish today as they did centuries ago. Conclusion: now that you've seen these amazing medieval garden secrets, it's clear that old-world planting techniques can be powerful tools in your modern outdoor garden. These designs weren't just beautiful, they were smart, efficient, and deeply rooted in centuries of real plant-growing success. Whether it's using enclosed herb gardens to protect delicate plants, raised geometric beds to improve soil health, or orchard layouts that encourage pollinators and fruit yields, medieval gardeners understood what makes a garden thrive long before today's gardening trends emerged. By bringing these time-tested ideas into your own backyard, you're not just decorating, you're cultivating plants the way masters once did. Try these methods in your next garden project and watch how your plants grow stronger, yield more, and transform your outdoor space into something both productive and meaningful.